Hey everyone, it's Saucy Mouth, and today I'm going to show you this great pasta dish that is absolutely one of my favorites. I could probably eat it every day of my life if I had to. And my recipe is called Fusilli Checca, and it's kind of like if you've ever had a Caprese salad with the mozzarella and tomato and basil. It's just like that, but we're adding it to some Fussilli noodles, and it's going to be excellent. I can't wait to show you today. Started for today's recipe, you're going to need Fussilli noodles, and I'm going to show you here what they look like. They're like little spiral noodles. Let's see if you can get a little close up there. They're little spiral. So I'm using Fussilli, but you can use anything. I like the Fussilli because it's light of a noodle, and it also clings on really well with the olive oil that we're going to add to it, and I think it collects the flavor very well. So today we're going to need a half a pound of Fussilli noodles, and I'm going to start by cooking them up to al dente. Follow the back of your bag of noodles to see how to cook them for how long. So I'm just going to start mine here. And I'm going to put in, today I'm going to do, you would put in a half a pound if you're going to serve this up for like 2 people. And I'm just serving this for myself today, so I'm just going to put in a little less. Another choice for using these noodles is penne rigate, or you can use the macaroni noodles. You can use any noodles that you like. This is something that I like to make. If I have these ingredients, the main staples, any noodle is really going to work with it. So we have our noodles in, and I'm actually going to give it a little bit of salt in there, and we'll wait for that to become al dente. In the meantime, we're going to work on everything else for the sauce. Now, let's see, let's get my knife. You're going to need, I'm using grape or cherry tomatoes. These are grape tomatoes, which are the small tomatoes. And they come in like a little plastic container at the grocery store. And the reason why I'm using those is, one, my tomatoes are not in season, and I find that these little ones are really nice to go in pastas because you don't have big chunks, and everything's going to be small little bites. So you can get a tomato and mozzarella and basil and the noodles all in one bite, and it'll be great. So I'm cutting these grape tomatoes lengthwise and then across so that they're small little pieces, a lot that can go around. And use your judgment on how many tomatoes you'd like to use. When I'm serving this for a serving of 4 people, I'll use the whole container of tomatoes, and then I use about a half a pound of fresh mozzarella. So just kind of eyeball it and see to your liking. And it's also, if you just have all these things at home, just use what you have. Okay, so I've cut the tomatoes, and now we're moving on to the mozzarella. And I love fresh mozzarella. It's probably one of my favorite ingredients besides garlic. I have found the mozzarella in the small, like, they're called cherry size mozzarella balls. And I like those just because for this recipe it works really well. But you can get the kind that comes in like a mozzarella log, cheese log, and cut that up too. It works, all tastes the same. So I'm just cutting these up to small pieces, probably about the same size as our tomato slices. And just set them aside, and then everything else we'll put in a bowl. So the word checca, because this recipe is called Fusilli Checca, and checca is a non-cooked tomato sauce. And so that's exactly what we're doing. We are not cooking any of the portion of all of this that's going in besides the noodles. We're just cooking the noodles, and then everything else we add to our pasta is uncooked. So it's really great, and it's so fabulous. I love this. So I'm done cutting up the tomatoes and mozzarella. So I'm going to just take 1 clove of garlic, and I'm just going to cut that, give it a really fine chop so all of it goes around in the noodles. So I'm finally chopping up the garlic, which smells wonderful, and just making sure I chop it up really nice and fine. We have that. We'll check on our noodles. they're doing well. So in the meantime, while we're waiting, I'm gonna add in the garlic and the mozzarella and the cheese into a mixing bowl. Let's add all of these in. So in my bowl, I put in the garlic, mozzarella, and the tomatoes. Then what we're gonna add in is a big pinch of pepper and a big pinch of salt. Probably a little bit more. So probably a teaspoon each. Probably a teaspoon and a half of the salt. And then we're just gonna add in the olive oil. And I'm probably doing a fourth a cup of olive oil. Just a little more. Then I'm gonna give this a big toss and just let everything kind of marinate and sit together in the juices. And then the next step we have to wait for is the pasta to add, and then we'll add in the fresh basil last. Alright, so our noodles are all done being cooked, and I strained the water out of them. All I'm gonna do is add all of those noodles in. And then we'll give it a big toss. We wanna coat it all. Oh, the flavors are so good. So another thing I wanna say with this is, if you don't have a garlic clove, you can always use garlic powder. Just make sure it's just garlic powder, not garlic salt. If it's garlic salt, then maybe you want to cut back on the salt. Another thing is, if you want it to be a little more spicy, what I like to do is add in a couple crushed red pepper flakes, and it makes it an extra spicy little pasta dish, which is so nice. Alright, so everything is fully coated, and the next thing we have to do is add the fresh basil. So we'll get some here. Oh, there. Alright, so I like to grab my basil. It smells so good. Grab my basil, roll it up. I like to score it down the middle and then chop away. Oh, it smells so good. I love fresh herbs, but especially basil. Alright, we're going to give it one more rough chop. Fabulous. Then what I'm going to do is add it in and give it one more quick toss. The reason why I didn't add in the basil before is it just kind of can wilt a little bit, and I want to make it look as fresh as it can when I'm serving it up. Oh, it looks so pretty. I love this. Alright, then it's all ready to serve. Here we go, serving it up in a just wonderful plate. Big scoops. So I put everything away. I'm going to show you. This is so fabulous. Look at that. It is so pretty. Time to dig in and eat this. My favorite. Let's make sure we get everything on there. It is absolutely to die for. Now this is a dish that they claim should be served in the summer, but it's one of my favorites that you can have all year round. And I also don't listen to the wine rules. You probably have it with a white wine, but I love red wine. I just love this dish. I hope you try it out. It's pretty inexpensive. The mozzarella is the only thing that's probably going to cost you a little more. And everything else is super good. It's a fresh way of adding a vegetable and a cheese and noodles in there, and it's not like a really thick sauce. It's perfect. Check out my website at www.saucymouth.com for this recipe and others. I can't wait to hear your feedback on this recipe because it is excellent. So until next time, you can find me on Facebook, my website, or Twitter. Enjoy.